Hi, this is Regina Y. Favors with Overcoming Setback Inspiration. So I wanted to take a little bit of a different turn and bring in a literary poem from Emily Dickinson to get you to understand how important it is to overcome setback and to guard against potential setback based upon your belief system. So the title of the poem is Tell All the Truth But Tell It Slant, and it is an Emily Dickinson poem, and this discussion is subject to fair use. Just quickly, there is a standard canonical way to interpret a literary work, a literary poem. I do not want to use that standard way because we are not necessarily in my English class where I teach this poem. So I want to give it a modern application and just get you to think about the aspect of truth when you are trying to tell the truth to someone, when you're trying to help someone usher them through change. I also have an audio about the 6 stages of change. You may want to listen to that. But I want to read through it and then give you an understanding about how I want to use it for this discussion. And we're looking at a modern application, maybe a parallel, but not necessarily a literary interpretation. So let's read it. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies. Too bright for our infirm delight, the truth's superb surprise. As lightning to the children eased, with explanation kind, the truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. So have you ever had an issue with trying to tell someone the truth? There's always the lowercase t for truth and then the uppercase t for truth, and there is a difference. There are truths and then there is the ultimate absolute truth, right? And what Dickinson is suggesting here is to tell all the truth but tell it slant in such a way that the person that you're trying to tell the truth to can't take it in a direct way. You have to tell it slant. You have to tell it in a way that they can understand, because you are taking into consideration their process, their learning process, the way they process information. So the first line, tell all the truth but tell it slant. And there's that hyphen there, that extended hyphen, and it's giving you the different ways that you can tell the truth in a slant way, right? Remember that but cancels everything just said right before it. And so tell all the truth, okay, we need to tell the person the truth, but there's a but there that says, well, we can't really tell them the full truth or the truth as truth represents. We have to slant it a little bit. So one example of slanting the truth is telling it in a circuit, like in a circular way, going around the truth. Now, we all understand that when we go around it, it's basically lying. Because if you're not telling someone straight out, and you're telling them in a roundabout way, which is an example definition of slant, then you are telling it really as a lie, and you're telling it, you're going around it in such a way that it really leads to lie. But there's success in there in the sense that the person was able to receive some part of that circular knowledge about truth. Then there's the suggestion that the truth that you're trying to tell them is too bright for them to understand. That their infirm delight, there is some delight to hearing it, but there's some sort of maybe offense. Infirm means sick, not well. And so there's a part of them that might care to hear the truth and might be delighted to hear the truth, but there's another part of them that is too infirm in their understanding about it that they can't really receive it, right? And so it's too bright for them to receive. So that means you have to dim the truth in order for them to get it. That's what also means telling it slant. The truth, so there's the ultimate absolute truth with the capital T, and it is superb surprise. So they are actually surprised by the absolute truth of the matter, right? The truth that you told them was at a lower case in circuit, taking into consideration that it's too bright for their infirm delight. But there is a real truth, the ultimate truth, that is a superb surprise. You know how when you have kids and they hear lightning and they ask, um, what's going on outside, and you have to frame it in a way that they can understand. So as lightning to the children eased, that you tell them, oh, that's God's way of shining light or something like that. However way you have ever explained lightning to a child, you do it with such ease, that way that you are easing them into an understanding. It's still circular. It's still not you saying lightning is this. It is you saying lightning is a roundabout way of God doing this or doing that, or the weather doing this or whatever, and you just kind of going about it. But it gives them ease because the child understanding the child does not have the capacity to understand it as it is. That as the truth is, that means that a lot of times we want to receive truth, or truth is available to us, but we may not have the capacity to understand it as it is presented to us, because we are still infirm in our delight. It's a superb surprise, and we basically have to be eased into it. And the way that you are eased into it, into understanding the truth, is with explanation kind. That you need to be kind to people who may not necessarily be in the understanding of how truth is, or what truth is, what the matter is. Because a lot of times when we understand the truth about something, we get a little bit puffed up, proud, and we don't feel like we really need to explain things. But the person coming behind you, like the child with the childlike capacity of understanding, needs you to explain it in such a way that they can understand it, which means ease, and be kind in your explanation of it. Don't just assume that the person is dumb and doesn't want to learn, and that's why you don't think you should give them the truth about it. Be kind in how you explain it to them so that they can understand it. The truth must dazzle gradually. Remember that there is some delight to hearing the truth, but the person is infirm in their delight, so that you may need to dangle and dazzle that truth gradually. That's where the explanation kind comes in. You don't just tell the person one time. You may have to do it in a gradual fashion so that they can understand it. So that means that's a process. That's always going to be a process, right? Gradual is a process. Or every man may be blind. Man be blind, meaning that there's a choice here. If you don't gradually tell the person the truth and be kind in your explanation and ease them into the understanding so that they can recover from their infirm delight, and it won't be such a surprise, and you won't always have to tell the truth in a circular manner. If you don't do that, they may be blind to it. There's also inherent in this that if you don't do these things, they may choose to be blind. That you're trying to give them too much too quickly, to the point that it's overloading them, and you're not taking into consideration their infirm delight, or the fact that they are actually superbly surprised by this, that they actually need to be eased in it. That be considerate in your explanation by being kind and gradually helping them to ease into an understanding. So the truth that I have here through my series, my Overcoming Setback series, setback requires correction. That's the truth. And correction can be in the form of instruction, because if you're in a setback, if you are in a ditch, you're going to need instruction to get out of that ditch, right? Remember that movie with Anthony Hopkins, I forget, Silence of the Lambs, and one of the characters kidnaps a rich girl, and throws her into a pit. And there's nothing there that helps her to get out of that. So she had to get a little strategic and try to lure the dog into the pit, so that the man who kidnapped her would have to change his strategy, hoping that she can get out in that way. And if you think about it, there wasn't anything in that pit like a ladder or a stick or anything that she could use as pseudo instruction to get herself out. The only instruction that she told herself was try to get the dog, because she understood that the man loved the dog. And so if he loved the dog and she kidnapped the dog, so to speak, then she may have more leverage. That was the truth for her. That was the instruction for her. When I tell you that instruction moves you out of setback, or setback requires correction, that's the truth that I'm telling you. And I have to tell it to you in such a way that you can understand. I have to tell it to you slant, because you don't understand that you are in a setback, and overcoming the setback and becoming successful is not the only goal. That the real goal is to learn what it is that you did not learn, meaning be corrected, and then also receive instruction to walk out of it, so that you can finally walk out of your setback, get out of this mindset of survival and get into the mindset of becoming an overcomer. So that's kind of hard, because people don't want to hear that. They just want to get out of something. They don't want to hear the actual truth of it. They just want, okay, when haven't I suffered enough? I've heard somebody say that when they were going through something, and they were always the type of person who got in and out of something without really learning anything. And so by the time it got to a point where they had to learn, there was no other choice, it was difficult for the person. And as much as I could try to tell the person, tell it slant, give it to them in a circular way, taking into consideration his infirm delight, his superb surprise, ease him into the understanding, being kind, dazzle him gradually so he doesn't become blind, he wasn't willing to hear it. And so he jumped in and out of another situation, and now he's basically stuck. But if you can understand that overcoming setback requires correction as a sort of main truth that I'm pushing through these audio series, and that the correction is a form of instruction, or the instruction is a form of correction, then that should be able to help you to address the truth about your situation. You may have to tell your own truth to yourself, slant. I'm in this situation because the person kicked me out, right? Kicked me out of his or her house. Well, you're not really in the situation because the person kicked you out his or her house. You're in a situation because you didn't keep a job, or you lost your job, or you didn't have enough money saved. That's the actual truth. You're not in jail because someone called the police. You are in jail because you couldn't control your anger. You didn't get fired because someone told on you. You got fired because you didn't follow the rules. That's the actual truth. But sometimes you may have to tell somebody, you may have to engage the person and get them to walk out an explanation until they come to the real root of their issue. Because if you put too much on a person too soon, they will reject you and prefer blindness. And you got some people who will remain blind to their detriment, but they feel that it is some sort of success. So they will go around in this circular motion of understanding, so much to the point till they get to their deathbed, and that's fine with them. They will die without an understanding. But I say to myself, I say a lot of times that if you are still alive and the typical retirement age is 65 and you're 40, that gives you 25 more years to make a difference in your life. Whatever age you are, and I always look at the retirement age because that's usually the retirement age. And so if you look at yourself as 30, you've messed up, you've been to jail before or something like that, and you want to do different and go to school, okay, well, from 30 to 65, that's 35 more years that you can make a change in your life. That's the truth of the matter versus there's no way that I can come up because I've been to jail, I've been here, I've been doing this or whatever, and no one would give me a chance. That's you telling the truth but telling it slant. You're trying to get yourself to believe the circuitous nature of the lie that you're telling because your delight is infirm. You do want to make a difference, but you're sort of frail in that area. And you are surprised, and it's hard to ease you into a better understanding because we need to be kind with our explanation and dazzle you gradually, or you may continue to stay blind. So tell all the truth, but tell it slant is, I really do like this poem. I can take it in multiple directions, but look at it from the point of there is a truth that you are willing to take until you get to the ultimate truth, which with the capital T, which reveals the root cause of your situation. And you got to get to the root cause because you can get out of your setback. Someone can extend a hand to you and give you money or give you something and you think you have succeeded, but you haven't succeeded because you are still lacking in the knowledge necessary for you to stay out of setback. Because down the road, as I noted in previous audios, that lesson that you failed is down the road. And so just because someone gets you out of something, gives you some money, helps you along the way, that could be part of your process, but you are still needing to learn the root cause of your issues so you don't have to tell all the truth, but tell it slant. So this is Overcoming Setback Inspiration. Emily Dickinson poem, Tell All the Truth, but Tell It Slant. Thank you for listening.